support in Indian Wells. Look at this. I mean, this was in Australia. Court 6 literally had a line. I know I'm exaggerating, but it went for miles at the Aussie. It was wild scenes there. Allie, can you remember a women's star who gets this type of support wherever she goes?
Yeah, well, Taylor Swift. I mean,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for sure.
A 21-year-old Filipino is doing something that even Grand Slam champions and former world #1s are struggling to match right now. She's not just winning matches. She's breaking the internet, selling out stadium sections, and forcing tournament organizers to rethink security and crowd control plans, because whenever Alex steps on site, the energy completely shifts. Cameras follow her. Fans line up hours early. Social media explodes before the first serve is even hit. And now the conversation has changed. Analysts, commentators, and even former players are starting to ask a bold question. Is Alex the biggest attraction in women's tennis today? Not the highest ranked, not the most decorated, the biggest draw. And that's a totally different debate. Being the best is about titles. Being the biggest attraction is about impact, attention, and the feeling that something special might happen every time she walks onto the court. So I want to hear from you. Forget the rankings for a moment. Forget the points. When you think about excitement, buzz, and who you absolutely don't want to miss watching, is Alex now the most intriguing name in women's tennis? Drop your honest opinion in the comments, because this debate is only getting louder.
I'd have to say maybe a little bit of Sania Mirza. Back in her heyday, obviously the Indian fans took to her and they followed her all around the globe. Obviously not to this extent, and I think the ceiling that Alex Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm gonna bring in a little boxing here, because my dad wanted me to be a boxer, but I chose tennis. But Manny Pacquiao.
Good call.
Manny Pacquiao, we saw him when he, was at the top of his game. And alongside Roger Federer, he actually had more prize money. So I think that if Eala, can keep doing well with her tennis, who knows? The sky's the limit on the court, off the court. I mean, she could be rolling in it if you.
Yes. Let's start with a number that honestly shouldn't even make sense. At the 2026 Australian Open, 171,000 people tuned in to watch Alex's pre-match press conference. Not a final, not a trophy ceremony, a press conference. For comparison, Novak Djokovic pulled around 80,000 for his. Arena Sabalenka drew just 9,000. Read that again slowly if you need to. 9,000 people watched the world's top women's player speak to the media. A multi-grand slam champion, a dominant force who overwhelms opponents with power and precision. And Alex nearly brought in 20 times that audience before even stepping on court. That is not normal. That is not routine. And what makes it even more fascinating is that nobody inside the tennis world is treating it like a fluke. No one is calling it an algorithm accident or a lucky spike. Because this isn't a one-off moment. It's a pattern. Wherever Alex goes, attention follows. Viewership jumps. Engagement explodes. Conversations multiply. This isn't just about performance anymore. It's about presence. The kind of presence that shifts numbers in a way that forces the entire sport to pay attention.
She's got a smile that lights up a room too, and I remember last year when she beat Iga Swiatek, and she kind of did it with a lot of grace and humility, and it was really, for me, it was terrific to see her take that match and watch her play after that, and watch her try to continue to progress, because I like her game. Obviously she wants to get better than where she is now, the 32 in the world, but she's got a lot of good hand-eye coordination and ability to take the ball early and redirect. But the fan stuff is always fun for me, because whenever you see players from smaller countries, the fans are so passionate when they get up to the top.
It's interesting, Ali mentioned Sania Mirza. She has nearly 13 million followers on Instagram. That's 5 million more than Carlos Alcaraz, and nearly as many as Alcaraz and Sabalenka combined. So that's how big Sania Mirza is, was, and will be. But Eala going to be seeded for the first time at a 1,000. To find out who she will play in the second round, check out.
In 2026, the professional conversation around Alex doesn't sound cautious or diplomatic anymore. It's not the usual tennis media script, where everyone is a tough competitor with a bright future. That language is gone. Recently, former ADP players Sam Querrey and Steve Johnson openly asked what many insiders had been quietly thinking. Is Alex now the biggest draw in women's tennis? Johnson didn't hesitate. Yes. And that word, draw, matters. It doesn't mean best player. It doesn't mean highest ranking. It means the one who fills seats, crashes streams, and makes organizers nervous about crowd control before the warm-up even starts. On that specific question, the case for Alex in 2026 is difficult to argue against. The surge of expert attention truly accelerated in Australia. Reporters on site described scenes that felt chaotic. Infinite queues, packed outer courts, and energy that didn't match her ranking outside the top 30 at the time. The pre-match atmosphere felt like a quarterfinal featuring a top seed. Yet this was Alex walking out. With massive, passionate Filipino support turning matches into something closer to a concert than a standard tennis crowd, even seasoned analysts struggled to find comparisons big enough. One analyst referenced Sonia Mesa at the height of her global Indian fan base, noting her 13 million Instagram followers, millions more than Carlos Alcaraz, and nearly equal to the combined pull of Alcaraz and Sabalenka. That's cross-cultural reach. And some experts now believe Alex's ceiling could be even higher. Another comparison raised during the discussion was Manny Pacquiao. At his peak, Pacquiao wasn't just an athlete in the Philippines. He was a national event. Fight nights reshaped schedules. His earnings rivaled global icons like Roger Federer. When tennis commentators start using Pacquiao as a reference point, the scale of what they're describing is no longer ordinary. And these comparisons aren't coming from emotional fans. They're coming from former professionals trained to stay objective. So what's driving this? First, the story. Alex trained at the Rafael Nadal Academy, left home young, developed in one of Spain's toughest environments, won junior Grand Slam titles, and then navigated the brutal transition where most junior stars disappear. She didn't. She endured. Her breakthrough, win over the world #1, wasn't just shocking, it was defining. The composure, humility, and authenticity in that moment created loyalty that marketing budgets can't manufacture. Second, she represents a massive and previously undertapped market. Southeast Asia is one of the fastest growing regions for sports consumption, and Alex isn't just popular there. She embodies it. When Filipino fans stream her matches, travel across continents, and flood social feeds, it's not casual fandom. It's identity. In 2020 SIX's Attention Economy, identity scales faster than rankings ever could. Third, the tennis is real. Influence without performance fades quickly, but Alex's game is structurally sound. Elite hand-eye coordination, the ability to take the ball early and redirect pace before opponents reset. Coaches call it a geometry disruptor. It's not just attractive, it's effective. She built momentum into 2026, surged in Dubai, climbed 16 spots to a career-high number 31 by late February, earned a first-round bye at Indian Wells, and posted a 10-6 season record. That's progress. The rise in results is aligning perfectly with the explosion in attention. From a business standpoint, this is where it becomes fascinating. Tournament directors in the Middle East and Southeast Asia have publicly compared her crowd-pulling power to Manny Pacquiao. Novak Djokovic has described the surge around her as a good problem for tennis. When a veteran like that frames your popularity as a positive logistical issue, you've entered a different category. Her matches are already exceeding venue expectations. Organizers are adjusting operations for a player ranked outside the top 30. Indian Wells is next, and strong Filipino turnout is widely anticipated. Analysts keep returning to the Sonia Mesa model, an athlete who became a cultural icon beyond pure tennis results. They now argue Alex's potential in that dimension is higher. The numbers support it. A 171,000 view press conference versus 80,000 for Djokovic isn't random. It signals who the digital audience chooses. Younger fans, who will shape sports economics for decades, are aligning with her. She understands short-form content, behind-the-scenes access, and platform presence. Her wins travel fast. Her interviews translate well on camera. Charisma matters in the modern attention economy, and as one commentator bluntly said, she has a smile that changes a room. That's the difference between content that trends and content that disappears. Coco Gauff set a benchmark for young global appeal, but analysts tracking engagement note that in parts of Southeast Asia, Alex's raw interaction metrics are already rivaling top 10 players despite the ranking gap. That's significant. Her influence curve is behaving like that of a top-tier champion while she's still building toward that status competitively. So what does it mean? She's 21. Physical and technical growth are still ahead. If deep runs at major events start matching the cultural momentum, the sport could see something unprecedented, an elite contender powered by one of the most passionate national fan bases in the world. As of early 2026, the ceiling looks extremely high, and the floor is already strong enough to force logistical changes and spark boxing analogies from tennis analysts. 2 years ago, this scenario would have sounded unrealistic. Now, it's the reality. Alex is no longer just a tennis storyline. She's a viewership story, a culture story, and yes, even a crowd management story, the best kind of problem a sport can have. If you want more deep analysis on the players reshaping tennis in real time, make sure you like and subscribe, because this evolution is only getting started.